Hello knitters, it's Phelan from Strands Knitting Studio in Southern California. And today I have classes, and I have more classes, so stay tuned. Okay, so the first class we're gonna do is a fisherman's rib. Now, fisherman's rib is a knit one, purl one, but it's done with slip stitches so that it's a specific way of doing things. And you're going to, so it makes it more puffy and not quite so tight like a knit one, purl one rib is pretty tight. So this one is a little bit more puffy. And so that's what we're gonna do is a fisherman's rib. And we're gonna use this enormity, which I've showed you. So we're doing enormity, yay. No tags, so you can see colors. So this is really enormous yarn, enormity, it's enormous. But the colors are great. The pattern that I'll show you right here that the company put out with it takes 3 skeins. But if you'll notice, it's really long because it's wrapped around. It's folded up so you have pockets. So there's a lot of stuff you don't have to do. So I'm pretty sure we could get 2 skeins, and maybe if it were a few stitches not so wide kind of thing, we could get one done in 2 skeins. If you want the whole thing, it's 3 skeins. If you wanted to do something with just 1 skein, you could just do a knitted cowl, and that would be plenty great with 1 skein. So that's using this. Now, you don't have to use this. Obviously, I use something else for this. So another bulky choice, just so that it goes faster, is the Yusha that we use all the time for our sweaters. So the Yusha is bulky. Again, you'd be like on 15, 17. And you would do the same pattern, but just be solid. And it's wonderful, totally wonderful. It's a scarf. You can do it out of anything you want. It's a scarf. So like, as I said, I did this out of Beatrix, which is probably, I don't know, I had chunky yarn. I wouldn't call it, but it wasn't like this. So it's like a chunky yarn, and it turned out great, you know, and it's puffy and it's big and it's wide. It doesn't have to be this wide. You know, you can do one that's this wide. It's a scarf. It's a scarf. So you can do it out of any yarn. We're just going to highlight the enormity because it's just fun and fast, or the Yusha. But anything works. It's a scarf, but it's a fisherman's rib. So you would be learning how to do a fisherman's rib. Okay, then the next class, so last night I had the Fix-It class, and everybody went away with, oh my God, I wish I'd known this, because that's the way it goes. And I wouldn't have had to take everything, all of these things out that I took out all the time. So it was very successful. Everybody learned several things. I'm not even gonna say, oh, at least they learned one thing, because when I go in a class, I'm good. If I come away with one new thing that I really think helps, I'm really good. So the next class is January 25th. And that's going to be a tips and tricks class. Now, it's not a fix-it class. It's these little tips and tricks to your knitting that help you, that makes it easier, makes things look better, makes it more efficient, on and on and on. So it's like that. So we're not learning to fix things. We're just learning how to enhance our knitting and make it more pleasurable for us and the results a little bit more finished. So that's a tips and tricks class. That's 25th January, Wednesday, 4 to 6. Then the next class I'm going to do is a Ravelry class. Now, if you don't know about Ravelry, you should. Ravelry, if you should, because it's an amazing database. Everything knitting and crochet, all these, hundreds of thousands of patterns. There's a filter for searching, so you can search and get exactly what you wanted, etc. So I'm going to have the Ravelry class, and that's going to be online. So I'm at my house, your house. You will have to have an account. It's free, but you have to be able to sign on to get into Ravelry. And then I'm going to take you through, because if you're only using it as a search engine and database, you're missing a lot of other stuff that's in there, because it's so much that's in there. And it's hard to even know what's in there unless somebody shows you it. So that class is going to be on a Tuesday, the 31st, from 4 to 6. But we're in our houses, and we're getting on Zoom. So it's going to be a Zoom class, and we'll be on Zoom, and you'll have my screen up so you can see what's going on, and so forth and so on. Okay, so you may want to have, if you've got 2 devices, like a phone and an iPad or a phone and a computer, that would be good, because you could sort of watch me on one and then practice on your other. Or you can just take if you're on a big computer, you can just have the two windows open and be, to go and forth. And on an iPad, you can do the same. A phone, you really can't do the same. You have to have somewhere else that you can watch what's on my screen and then do it. So 2 devices, which most of us have 2 devices, would work really well as far as get into it and do stuff on it. So that's the classes coming up. Oh, and so that's those classes coming up. So I've got fuzz in my mouth. The other class coming up, of course, is the heirloom blanket. The yarn is in. Yay, it came in yesterday. So yarn is here, and so come in and get your colors. But we have a few back orders, but we got tons of colors, lots of neutrals, and lots of people are liking the lots of neutrals. And so that class is on the 22nd. It's the 4th Sunday of every month this year. You learn 20 blocks. And you learn a ton. So I have, if you haven't seen any of the videos, if this is a newsletter, there's a video below talking about the blanket only, so go watch that. If you're on YouTube, go back a couple where it says heirloom blanket, and you can watch that if you need more information. So so come in and get your supplies if you've signed up. If you haven't signed up, why haven't you signed up? It's the best thing you'll do for yourself as a knitter. I promise. The best thing you'll do for yourself as a knitter. So there's still plenty of time. We have spots. So come on in and get yourself signed up. And so that's the 22nd. And that takes out our whole month. That's the whole month of January. So as you can see, none of these were actual knitting projects except for the blanket, because I'm still working on that. But the one thing I know for sure is that in June, I'm pretty sure it's going to be June, we are starting a cable blanket. So we'll have a square blanket. It's not exactly gridded the way this blanket is, where I have 4 squares. It's got different size squares that make up the blanket, and then an edging that makes up the blanket. So we're going to do cabling. It's all cables. I highly suggest it's single colored. It'll look better that way if it's as all one color. And but to get ready for that, like if you've never cabled, first of all, if you go to the class, you will have cabled the heirloom blanket. But if you haven't cabled, I'm going to have a couple of cable projects, like a hat with a cable, or a cowl with a cable, or there's a baby child sweater that has a really pretty cable on it. So I'm going to do a few of those classes so you can get used to what cabling is. And then if you decide in June you want to go further, you can. So now cabling, there's nothing hard about cabling. All you're doing is rearranging your stitches. So instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you take one, go like this, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you're just changing the order of which you knit the stitches. Then after that, so that's it. It's that simple. But cabling can be complicated, because once you start adding different cable patterns to the same pattern, then there's other things you got to keep track of. The actual cabling itself, not complicated at all. So I will be adding that, so you can dip your toes into the whole cabling pond and see what you think. And so that's what we've got so far. And Happy New Year again to everybody. We're well on the way now. And I hope to see you in the studio real soon. Bye.